Hi, I'm a tech worker. Like many of us, you depend on for internet, apps, cell phones, and the products you use every day, and the functioning of almost every business. Basically, I'm the type of people you would refer to as geeks or nerds. And there is a difference. I don't live in the same world that you do. I have Asperger's. Just like many of my fellow geeks. Remember when you were a child and thought anything was possible? As you got older, that changed. And you stopped believing that you could change the world. For many of us with Asperger's, this childhood belief is still with us. We still think we can change the world. We think we can create anything we want to. And this belief, it's further beyond a belief. We just know to our core that we can do it. It gives us the drive and the ambition to pursue turning our thoughts into dreams and realities that you get to experience and enjoy every day. But along with those skills and with Asperger's come some not so favorable traits that will oftentimes cause difficulties. So let me give you an example. Have you ever interacted with a tech worker who seemed maybe arrogant or condescending or just plain made you feel stupid? Well, that could be me. I might have even seemed like a jerk until you hit the topic that lights me up like an atomic bomb is going off in my head. Next thing you know, I'm just starting to tech talk to you about whatever this thing is, and I'm telling you all about how it's made and where it comes from and the pieces of whatever they dig out of the ground and which colors and how it's manufactured and what they heat it to, and I just keep going and going and going, and you're starting to turn blue and you're trying to make all these signs and movements and gestures and trying to make me understand that you've been phased out of this thing for a while. And I just miss them. And then you make not so obvious ones. Try and get me like, hey, I'm out of here. And I still don't get it. And I just keep going on and on and on and telling you more and more and more until you just want to turn blue and puke. Well, you've run into what I call the favorite subject. And it's a very common thing with us people with Asperger's. And Asperger's is very common amongst geeks and nerds. So even though I'm probably oblivious, I just don't even get those subtle hints. You probably don't realize that you've just hit on a whole bunch of different Asperger traits. Well, there's the once you get me excited about something trait, and I just start talking and talking and talking about it. So that's one trait by itself. Then another one of the traits would be that I'm totally oblivious to all those activities you're doing, the crossing your arms, the looking the other way, the checking your watch. I don't even really notice. And even if I did notice, they don't mean anything to me. So I just figure because you're looking at me and still making, some movements like you're understanding something, that you're interested and you want to know. So I'm going to tell you everything I know about it because I love whatever this subject is. And I just found somebody else that loves it. And I want to share my love with you. So that's how you get tech talk to death. Well, I've talked about Asperger's a number of times. And some of you might know what Asperger's is, some not. So let's just kind of dive into that a little bit and help you understand a little better what Asperger's is. Asperger's is considered a developmental disorder. What that means is it's the result of structural and even physiological differences in our brains. It's the way our brains are built and constructed and operate is what a developmental disorder is and what Asperger's is. It's not bad parents. It's not a lack of control. You have to think of it as it's hardwired right into the brain. And I'm not saying that all people in tech, all technology people, engineers, IT, even gets into accounting, mathematicians. They say that universities are a bastion of Asperger cases in the professors. I'm not saying that everybody has them. All I'm really trying to say is that in my experience, a very large number of the traits are present in quite a few people in all the different places that I've worked over the last 20 years. Well, this is all about how to engage tech workers. And frequently, what you're going to find is where you've had failed in the past is because you've run into Asperger traits and you haven't recognized them and understood them, and you took them instead as being maybe personal things against you, or you said something that was interpreted in a totally different way. You didn't get the correct results back. The best way, I think, that I can help you understand the Asperger world is to give you a view into my brain. And if I could just, open it up and let you in, it'd probably be scary. So I'm going to try and do it through telling you some stories of how I have seen and see some different situations that I've been in over. So, trick to communicating with an Asperger: be direct, use words precisely, explain everything in detail. Don't do any broad brushstrokes. If something like this is how I want it done, because we won't understand like this. Give you an example on words. This is the story. My wife and I were chatting one day, and she had seen a posting on Facebook of some people that we knew that were going to a retreat. And the retreat was being held at a facility that I knew was at a particular elevation. And they took some pictures that were at a much, much higher elevation and said, that's kind of where they were. And it didn't make sense to me. And Karen was saying, well, maybe it's a different unit that they're in. And to me, when you say the word unit, it means, another piece, another subdivision, another building, that is located nearby to the first one. So Unit A, Unit B. I mean, they're not normally 600 miles apart. They're next to each other. So I was having a difficult time understanding that the roughly 2/3 of a mile vertical distance between these two locations of how it could be the same place. And again, Karen was saying, well, maybe it's a different unit. And I'm going, how can it be a different unit and be 2/3 of a mile higher? That just does not make any sense at all. And after we finally talked about it some more, what came out was, if she had used the words a separate location, it would have made perfect sense in my mind. We live here in the Rocky Mountains and we're up against the Front Range. So if you take location A and go to location B, it's very easy to have a 2/3 of a mile difference in height. You don't have to go very far at all to have that occur. So unit was not the precise word to convey the message, and unit confused me because I couldn't understand how you could have a 2/3 of a mile discrepancy this way when they were units that sat next to each other, because that's what units do. But separate locations, we're in the Rocky Mountains, okay, now I got how we can have that difference. Now that gives you a good view, hopefully, into how, as an Asperger, we process some of this stuff.